you got to love their style and how they never, ever, ever give up. Who loves dogs? Who loves dogs? We rise to any challenge, and no one here is average. We are the Power Pups. You know we'll ever, ever, ever give up. Dogs, dogs, you love dogs. Dogs, dogs, you love dogs.
Hello, and welcome to the Adventures of Power Dog in Dogland. We are so glad you are joining us for this very special season.
Tree.
That's right, season 3 of our story.
This is episode 5.
May the forest be with you.
May the forest be with us all.
You may remember when our story left off that Power Dog and Tuffy, their classmates and Sky Puppy professor from dendrology class, as well as their new dragon friends, the Draco Valens, had raced back to their dormitory to collect the golden thingamajig the pups had found at their favorite little tree in their home city of Lictopolis. The Draco Valens had shared a message from their great eternal ironwood tree using a marvelous device they called a hop-horn beaming seed. It projects an image like a little lamp right into the palm of one's paw, and the image this particular seed projected appeared to be the very same golden glowing cone thingamajig the pups had just found. Now, the plot thickened when everybody got to the dorm to find that all of the windows were open and a mysterious vandal had made a total mess of the place. Power Dog had rather rudely received a big scratch across the softest part of his nose, and Tuffy saw a petite ring-tailed individual escape from the building and into some nearby bushes. Although the professor and dragons flew into pursuit, they returned empty-taloned. "This doesn't smell like a dog," Lyndon, the yellow lab, had said with their snoot held high in the air while their body rested alongside the husky dog's body. Then, Tuffy had pointed to the shelf where his and Power Dog's very nice things had all been knocked down to the floor below, and seemingly for no particular reason. Who would knock everything off of a shelf just to knock it off of a shelf? That was the moment that Power Dog had felt very intensely that something was missing. "Something is missing," he had said. "That ring-tailed nose-scratcher is more than a vandal. They are a thief." Power Dog had then held up the satchel his dad had given him and had shaken it upside down for dramatic effect, for he already knew that the golden glowing thingamajig was gone. The professor flew over to Power Dog and Tuffy's desk, took a good long look around the room while all of the other dogs continued sniffing and nosing around. "It is probably best that you all go check your rooms to see if anything else was taken," he said to the entire group. The classmates started to leave, but the 2 ring-tailed raccoon dogs approached the desk. "Hello, my name is Annalise, and this is my sister, Lisa Ann." "Yes," replied Professor Chiroptera. "Well," said Annalise as she looked around the room uneasily, "we think we know who this smell might belong to," said Lisa Ann. Power Dog and Tuffy stopped picking up the pieces of the room and got a little closer to hear this. "Oh?" asked the professor. The girls nodded and looked side to side to see who might be listening. Annalise was fidgeting with her delicate paws, and Power Dog thought that Lisa Ann looked very nervous as well. Well, we think we smelled this smell before," started Lisa Ann. "From a cat," finished Annalise. The professor's tiny eyebrows shot up, and all of them heard rustling in the tree leaves outside the window as the Draco Valens shifted and shuffled in the branches. "Are you sure?" asked the professor, who gave the air a few sniffs. Power Dog also sniffed around a bit more, but the scratch across his nose really hurt, and that made it very hard to use his other senses, or to concentrate at all for that matter. "Oh!" exclaimed Tuffy. "We've met a cat." Then, just as both Power Dog and Tuffy were about to say the name of the cat they knew and admired greatly, who should walk through their dorm room door but the actual cat himself? Roger! Is that really you? Asked Power Dog as he blinked his eyes in disbelief. Then he heard the tree shudder and shake again and saw the Draco Valens fly away very swiftly. He thought, that's odd. Maybe? He also noticed that the light of morning dawn was beginning to brighten the college moon and the room. Roger the golden cat was indeed there, in their room, in the flesh, with the first beams of the dawn reflecting off of his golden fur. And now he was also sniffing the air. The two raccoon dogs were staring at him wide-eyed, while they also held their breaths and held each other's paws. "Hello, Power Dog and Tuffy," Roger said as he sniffed and carefully poked around near the special things that had been knocked off of the shelf. "Wow, I will never get over how much you look like my old buddy Lahi Kamihu," he mused with a smile in Power Dog's direction. He then did a little bow towards the professor, who was pulling a small pair of dark goggles over his eyes as the sun started to shine in through the window more brightly. "This is our professor, Professor Chiroptera," Power Dog said, as he beamed with pride over being told that he resembled his special ancestor, the first dog of many powers. The professor nodded to Roger and said, "We have a mutual friend in Cody, and he has told me of the great work you are doing to help the Phoenix of Meowie." Roger nodded and smiled warmly. "It is my life's work." Lisa Ann and Annalise looked so confused, but also fascinated and no longer holding their breaths. They seemed to be waiting patiently to share more, shifting slightly from foot to foot and paw to paw. Power Dog turned to them and explained, "You see, there are these cats and, the fennec fox dogs of Meowie." And he paused for a beat to think about how to explain. And then Roger interrupted, but rather politely, with a gentle wave of his paw to say, "Yes, there is a misdirected and manipulated secret society on the island of Meowie. They are in service of creating mayhem and mischief, first on Meowie and then throughout Dogland. Mayhem and mischief, at the very least." "Whoa," said the girls in unison. "We don't know anything about that," said Annalise. "But we met a ring-tailed cat near where we are from, which is the Blue Starlit Forest on Question Mark Mountain. He was a trickster, but he was also very kind. Yeah, his name is Morty, and he is not a bad guy," added Lisa Ann. Roger's golden ears perked up visibly. "Morty, you say? And can you tell me, does he have markings much like yours? Is he ring-tailed?" The sisters exclaimed, "Why, yes, he does." Very interesting," muttered Roger as he made notes with his delicate claws into a tiny notepad that seemed to be made of gleaming strips of ribbons. "I saw the thief's tail, and it was totally ring-tailed," exclaimed Tuffy. "Could it be this Morty? But Tuffy, did you see them carrying anything? Anything as big as the golden thingamajig?" asked Power Dog. Tuffy looked up to the ceiling as he thought about this question, then looked back at all of their waiting faces, shrugged and admitted, "I'm not sure. It was dark and they were moving so fast." "So fast?" asked Roger as he continued to take notes. "Do you think there were more than one of them?" They all shrugged and looked out of the open window as the mystery of it all seemed bigger and bigger with every question. "What brings you here to the college moon, Roger?" asked the professor. "Well, funny enough, I am already investigating some very strange occurrences on Meowie, and they seem to be connected to whatever is going on up here," replied Roger as he continued to carefully inspect every item on the floor. "Strange occurrences?" asked Power Dog. His mother was on Meowie almost all of the time these days. So were his detective aunties. "My moms are detectives, and they are on Meowie a lot," added Tuffy. Roger nodded thoughtfully. Ah, yes, all three of your mothers have been very, very helpful in our work to discover the plots of this secret society of mischief makers. Yeah, the Allura files, muttered Power Dog as he thought back to his friend Lupo, who had perhaps been his most difficult relationship before becoming a friend. Ah, yes, that's right. They call themselves the Order of the Allura Files, which literally means cat worshippers. And as a cat, I have to say, that didn't sound terrible at first. But as a cat who loves dogs, independent thought, healthy community, and this world, our entire cosmos, trust me, it's actually quite problematic. Roger looked down at his front paws, and Power Dog thought that he looked sad. The professor cleared his throat and said, yes, this silly notion that cats and dogs and all beings must not get along by nature is ancient and toxic. It does not have to be true. Roger smiled warmly at the professor and said, thank you. Power Dog also thought that he heard a very faint purr coming from Roger's golden body. Roger, do you think you're tracking down a mystery that is connected to what just happened here in our dorm? Asked Power Dog. I'm not sure, but it feels like it could be, as it's the scent that led me here. Can you tell me more about what was taken? Power Dog paused his pause and looked out the window as Tuffy tried to explain. Well, you see, there was this big glowing acorn-shaped pine cone-looking thing. It's kind of a thingamajig that we found at our favorite tree in Lictopolis. The professor joined Power Dog at the window. Where have our dragon friends gone to? He asked. Power Dog pointed upon the direction he saw them last flying to, and the professor nodded. The dragons, they have a technology from their world that allows them to project images, and they have an image of the taken thingamajig, the professor explained to Roger. Roger looked out the window as well and sighed. The dragons here on Dogland know me, and they know I am to be trusted, but alas, some of the otherworldly dragons might not know cats they can trust. Unfortunately, this society, the Allurophiles, might be a bigger problem than just Doglands. Whoa, thought Power Dog to himself. He started to recall bits of his very scary dream. Just then, Tick-Tock Bunny appeared in the doorway. Well, my goodness, hello and good morning, everybody, he said while looking around at the mess and scratching his head. They each went around the room catching Tick-Tock Bunny up on all that had happened and introducing him to Lisa Ann and Annalise. Oh, don't worry, folks. I ran into the Draco Valens who told me where y'all were. When they said a real cat had appeared, I was hoping it was you, Roger. I reassured them that I would come check it all out, and I told them that if it was indeed you, Roger, then they'd have nothing to worry about. They agreed to meet us all at the cafeteria for breakfast. As soon as Tick-Tock said breakfast, everyone's tummies began to rumble. Can we join too? We'd love to track down Morty, and we'd like to make sure he is actually okay, asked Annalise, and Lisa Ann added, he really is our friend, and we're sure he means no harm. Everyone nodded yes. All of the Draco Valens were indeed waiting outside the College of the Dog Arts cafeteria, a resplendent dining hall staffed by Dogland's best up-and-coming chefs from the college's School of Culinary Art, which is a fancy way to say cooking and baking and blending foods together. It was a tradition as old as the school itself to learn by doing, and the student chefs never disappointed. Tick-Tock Bunny greeted the dragons with a sunny smile and wave, asking, "Are you hungry, friends?" Vulcanan answered,
"We wouldn't have come all this way just to miss out on those delicious Dogland bananas."
The dragons seemed happy enough, but they kept glancing nervously at Roger, who also seemed a bit nervous to be near them. Roger stepped forward, head down, and very gently. When he did, the dragons backed up just a little, and Power Dog thought they looked quite frightened. He was starting to get a hint of an idea that maybe he wasn't the only individual in all of the Dogmos that sometimes felt pretty anxious and nervous. Please, let me assure you, I mean you no harm. I am Roger, friend of dogs and friend of dragons," he said as gently and reassuringly as possible. The dragons all sighed and smiled the best they could. Power Dog thought their smiles were a little bit still on the anxious side. But as Power Dog and we all know, it can take a little while to calm down a dysregulated nervous system. Those amazing amygdalas of ours are really watching out for us. The group sat down around a long outdoor table once they'd loaded their trays with those delicious Dogland bananas that unpeel themselves when you boop them with your nose, fluffy golden waffles, poached eggs, pancakes, and French toast. Having a good hearty meal seemed to help put everyone at ease a bit. Power Dog noticed he was now a bit sleepy, but food was helping his energy overall, and he didn't want to rest until he found that golden thingamajig. It was funny to him how much he felt he needed it, given they'd only just found it. The dragons were very interested in helping the dogs find the thingamajig as well.
I am unsure of how much assistance we can offer in tracking the thief down, especially in comparison to Roger and Tick-Tock Bunny and the detective dogs you have told us about,"
said Vulcanaean. The dogs, Roger and Tick-Tock Bunny, nodded as they all took turns examining the image coming from the hophorn beaming seed, which Professor Chiroptera was holding in his delicate talons.
"And we'd hoped that after your dendrology class, we could visit your college library,"
continued Vulcanaean. "Oh?" questioned Power Dog. He had been planning to visit the college library himself that day after a nice sleep, and for fun, to check out some new music sound bouncers. Thunderlight answered while the rest of the Dracovalens continued to eat the delicious food.
"We need to do some research."
And Ori added when Thunderlight paused,
"Dream research."
"Oh?" questioned Power Dog again. "Dream research?" asked Tuffy. Marie nodded her head and answered,
"Yes, we've all been having very vivid dreams lately."
"Interesting," mused Tick-Tock Bunny as he put a paw bean up to his chin. Marie nodded in agreement.
"In fact, it seems that our vivid dreams started once the hophorn beaming seed started beaming the images of your world."
"Oh?" asked the professor, while Roger examined the hophorn beaming seed intently and made notes in his tiny book of ribbon pages. "Is that normal? Do the hophorn beaming seeds affect dreams?" Now it was Elementar who answered.
"Oh no, it is not something we are used to at all. As vivid as our dreams are, none of us can remember very much from the dreams, but after discussing it, we realize that all of our recently vivid dreams share some things in common."
Power Dog began to think of his own restless nights that had him tossing and turning for months now. What are the common things?" he asked.
"Well, so far it's been a red planet like Draconis, with purple mountains and red rivers. But there are bats, flying dogs, very, very large dragons, bigger than even the Namer, with his most nefarious enchantments, and..."
Then, much to nearly everyone's surprise, Power Dog and Tuffy joined them, blurting out loudly, "And cats!" They all paused to stare at each other. "Strange cats," added Power Dog with a shudder. The dragons all stared at him and nodded in agreement. "Very strange cats," agreed Vulcanaean, while the rest of them continued to nod. "Are you also having strange dreams, Power Dog?" asked Tick-Tock Bunny. "Lahi Kamihu had premonition dreams," added Roger. It was one of his many powers. Power Dog looked around at all of the faces and started to feel nervous, on the spot, and hot-eared again. Well, why was he so nervous? What was going on? Tuffy had his back yet again and answered for him. "Yeah, he's been having, like, the same dream, maybe? Or almost the same? Is that what premonition means? Same dream over and over?" Roger smiled graciously, and Tick-Tock said, "Premonition is what Cody has. It's like little hints of the future. Cody says it happens when we slip in and out of normal time while we sleep. It's messages from our future selves. Power Dog nodded and thought about this idea of his future self talking to him as Tuffy continued. Well, he's been dreaming of all of those things because of how scary it was to go to Draconis and to have everyone in Meowie trapped inside that rainbow bubble dome. He's been having trauma dreams. We've all had trauma from going to Draconis. Nightmares, exclaimed Lisa Ann and Annalise, who looked absolutely stunned by everything they had all been talking about, but they still managed to dig around in their trays of food. Mused TikTok Bunny. Something is going on here. All of you are highly sensitive and capable beings who are tapped into the wavelengths of the dogmos. He stroked the wispy white hairs on his chin as everyone just looked at him as if to say, "What?" He smiled at all of them. Now you know, I would normally say, we need to go to Cody. Power Dog and Tuffy smiled happily at this, as it was indeed what they were getting used to. But I'm not going to say that this time, continued TikTok. Oh? Asked Power Dog and Tuffy. Oh? Right, said TikTok as he put a long bunny finger in the air. Because Cody already came to me several moons ago, and he knew all of this would come to pass. It was then that Power Dog remembered that morning that he and Tuffy had a sneaky little listen outside of TikTok Bunny's cottage of tranquility. It all felt like it was so long ago now. Power Dog and Tuffy had been making their way across the college grounds early in the morning, stopping to admire the wings of delicate dogger flies as they alighted on flowers throughout the gardens that TikTok Bunny had trained Tuffy to care for. Power Dog remembered the carefree feelings he had as the two of them were tossing a play disc back and forth, casually laughing along the way. They had approached TikTok Bunny's lovely little college of tranquility in a shady glen, and they had heard voices through the window, and something inside both Power Dog and Tuffy had compelled them to quietly hide under the flower boxes to have a sneaky little listen. And later, they had been surprised to see Cody the golden coyote leave. But what had they overheard? So much had happened to them since that morning. They had even traveled across the dogmos and back since then. As hard as he tried, Power Dog could not recall a thing. He searched Tuffy's face, and it seemed that Tuffy didn't remember anything. Perhaps Tuffy didn't even remember that day. "Can you tell us what it was that Cody shared with you?" asked Roger. "I had been planning to visit and consult with him soon. I am more curious than ever to know if our mysteries are connected." TikTok smiled and said, "Well, as a matter of fact, he shared some of his premonitions with me." Everyone stopped eating and stared at TikTok Bunny. TikTok was now as wide-eyed as all of them and said, "Cody said that when a special tree grants the dogs a special gift, it would be time to find the lost cave of the great, great tree." Power Dog and Tuffy both piped up. "The golden thingamajig!" Professor Chiroptera spoke up. "The lost cave of the great, great tree has been lost to us on purpose. It's said to be protected by a vast, wild, and woolly underground forest, and it is also said that no being from the surface of Dogland has been to the underground forest in many ages." Roger was taking notes as fast as his golden paws could write now, and no one had touched the rest of their food since TikTok Bunny had spoken. The raccoon girls were holding each other's paws tightly now and wiggling in their seats. "What is in this lost cave?" asked Vulcanan. "The great heart or root ball of the great, great tree," answered the professor. "And we don't even know where to start to get to the underground forest that surrounds it," continued TikTok Bunny.
Could your college library help us research this?
asked Maureen. Both TikTok Bunny and Professor Chiroptera nodded yes, and the professor said, "Actually, Power Dog's father is one of the leading geohistorians of our entire world." Power Dog swelled with pride at this, but also thought that he'd never once heard his father discuss any underground forests or secret caves that protect the root ball of the great tree. When his father had talked about the center heart of Dogland, Power Dog had imagined it being so impossibly deep in the core of the world that no dogs could ever even go there. "Do we need my dad?" asked Power Dog. The wiggling raccoon dog twins seemed to be about to burst when they both shot a paw in the air like one might do to get permission to speak in a classroom, and they were even making little excited noises. When all eyes were on them, the professor nodded to them and said, "Yes? Do you have something to add, Lisa Ann and Annalise?" The girls lowered their paws, looked into each other's eyes, nodded, and exclaimed, "We've been to the underground forest with Morty, the cat." All right, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us. Now, I'm joined by my kid co-author, Hank. Hi, Hank.
Hi.
Do you got a joke for me?
Yes. Why do raccoons wear masks and stripes?
I don't know. Why?
They don't want to be spotted.
You got another one?
Did you hear about the scientist that wanted to study flying puppies?
What? No. Tell me about it.
Well, it was a bat idea. It was a bat.
Bat idea. Flying
bat.
puppies.
It was
Bat
a-
idea.
It was a bat idea.
Thank you, listeners. If you are looking for more great shows, then please check out the other members of Kids Listen, a grassroots organization dedicated to high-quality audio for kids and families. There are well over 100 great shows to find there. Ask your grown-up to check out kidslisten.org to find out more. Special thanks to our creative partner, the inimitable Jason Rourke, who makes these stories sound extra good with his wise counsel, recording, sound design, and even original music. This podcast has been made possible in part by funding provided by the Regional Arts and Culture Council in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, RAC. It has been made even more possible by listeners like you. Thank you so much for your support. We are not joking even a little when we say we could not do this without you. The Adventures of Power Dog and Dogland is created in the ancestral lands of the Cowlitz, Multnomah, Kathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwater, Tualatin Kalapuya, Wasco, Molalla, Watlala, bands of the Chinook, and other indigenous nations and tribes of the first people who made their homes along the rivers here in what is now called Portland, Oregon. And special thanks to our own Granny and Gramps who helped us write and record our Power Dog theme song. Hey, Granny and Gramps, what key did y'all say that's in?
It's in D for Dogland. Till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing danger and we're riding across the seas, sure he's right there leading us up, barking with the seals. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing trouble and we're riding across the stars, sure he's right there beside us, just holding our paws. Power dog, he won't give up. Power dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power dog, he won't give up. When we're chasing trouble and we're zooming through the stars, sure he's right there beside us, just a zapping near and far. won't give up. When we're bugging a volcano or we're straddling a storm, Power Dog is right beside us at every little turn. Power Dog, he won't give up. Power Dog, he won't give up. Chases problems till they're done. Power Dog, he won't give up. At night his fennec foxes, in the days his platypuses. We herd 'em up and whoop 'em down. Our dog's right beside us. Come with me to Dogland, we've got special tales to tell. And when we come together, all our tails will wag as well. So come with me to Dogland, we've got special tales to tell. And when we come together, all our tails will wag as well. Woof, woof, wow.